On blast.
And we are live. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, my name is Sheldon Alexander, and this episode of Wrap It Up is brought to you by Clean Cuts Barbershop, 2013 Danforth Avenue in the east end of Toronto. Clean Cuts, the multicultural barbers that will always keep you fresh for any and all occasions. So go see Skip and the crew. And as a wise man once said, tell them that I sent you. Check them out on Instagram at Clean Cuts Toronto or give them a call 416-917-4833 to book your appointments now. Well. Big time game for the Toronto Raptors. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Sheldon Alexander. This is the Wrap It Up podcast. Thanks guys for tuning in. If you are live on Twitter, as we are after each and every Toronto Raptors game, at Shell Alexander. Comments and questions, we take them there because this is the interactive podcast. We discuss what's going on live after each and every Raptors game. Again, on Twitter at Shell Alexander. Also taking comments and questions on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Today I'm joined by my boy Q, Mr. DDS Caps himself, the other half of DDS Caps. You saw O on the last pod. Tonight we got Q. It's weird. Their schedules never align that they're here together, or rarely.
Never.
But hey, when I can get them to come through and bless the pod, it's greatly appreciated. Q, what's going on, man?
I'm good, man. I'm just
That's it.
good to be a Raptors fan today, right? What more can I say? 132 points. You know, even DeJuan Hernandez was coming off the bench, putting in finger roll layups.
Everybody got some tonight in this game. Toronto Raptors coming through with a massive win, 132-96. Huge thanks to you guys for tuning in. And of course, if you miss a pod, we got you covered because it ends up on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and on YouTube. Just search On Blast Podcast. We got you covered. Like and subscribe. And of course, like I always say, tell your friends. Spread the love that is this Raptors team, because this is a Raptors team that is super easy to root for. And they win big tonight, 132-96. I'll be honest, this was kind of a game I was very interested to see, because I don't think that the Hornets are a great team by any measure. But if the Raptors are this team that we think is going to come in the top half, right, of the Eastern Conference, you take care of business against the Hornets, regardless of who's in the lineup for the Raps. And this Hornets team was playing all right. They came out and they were winning. They won back-to-back games before coming into this game. But the Raps in this game, to me, showed why, as I said, I enjoy cheering for this team, but they just got so many pieces, and it's such a beautifully run offense. You're talking about you score 132, and they had 50 field goals in this game and assisted on 40 of them. A franchise high 40 assists for the Raps. And when you have ball movement like that going, can anyone beat the Raps? Do you know what I mean? Like when the offense is flowing like that and the ball is moving, 7 players in double digits, it's just a thing of beauty to watch. And it's just hitting open shots, no?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you didn't need a 30-35 from Fred. You didn't need a 30-35 from Pascal.
Instead, those were their minutes they played tonight, which you'll take. Yeah. Freddie only played 31 minutes, Pascal 35, which is something that the Raps needed for sure with the heavy load they were taking.
Yeah. Boucher, he's an animal.
Are you on the Boucher train fully?
I'm on the Boucher train. I just, he jumps out of the gym for every rebound. He shoots from wherever he wants. Right? He's got the Dick Nurse green light.
Yeah.
Right? He just plays with energy, and that's what you expect from him, right?
I like that he's all over the place. He's super active, as you mentioned. I like that even if he comes in and he's getting fouls, he's still super active, which makes him a factor.
Yeah.
And that's key, especially for a young player coming off the bench, especially. Just bring energy on both ends of the floor. Boucher finished with 11 and 11 in this game, a double-double. And you look at the box score for the Raps and everyone's stat line. I mean, okay, so Freddie only shot 3 of 12, okay? But still finishes with 11 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 steals, like doing a little bit of everything.
Yep.
If you're Fred VanVleet, okay? Norm finishes with 17 points. Norm also gave you 6 assists. Marc Gasol, who everyone loves to hate, 5 points. But then my guy had 9 assists and 8 rebounds.
Yeah.
So Pascal, 20 points from him, 7 of 14, solid shooting. But the night might really belong to Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. In the first half, he really turned this game around. He came in off the Raptors bench, gave a quick 15 points out of nowhere. Like, I looked up at you and I was like, where did that come
15 points in like 10 minutes of action.
And has he proven, do you think, has he earned a spot that he now should be getting consistent minutes on this Raptors bench going forward, regardless of who's in the lineup and who's not?
Definitely. I think he is now showing that why they brought him in.
Yeah.
Right? He comes in, he defends anybody.
Yep.
Right? Bigger players, guards, right? He's active on the boards.
Yeah.
Right? He's not the biggest guy. He's only, I think he's 6'7".
It's all hustle.
It's all hustle, right? And like you said, like he had quick 15 points. He's coming off the bench, energy, he defends, and he cuts to the basket.
Yeah.
That's what you need. I think we finally found that, whether it's the 9th or 10th guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Just watching the way he's played the last couple of games kind of makes me wonder what the hell happened over the summer. But maybe he was still injured.
I think some guys who are vets, I really think this, they try to come into camp and play themselves into shape.
Yeah.
I think that happens sometimes with NBA vets. And if you come into a team that practices as hard as the Raptors practice, you might look really bad trying to play yourself into shape during training camp. And I don't know that to be true. I'm trying to just present.
He missed
theories.
the end of last season. So I'm thinking that because watching him play, I don't see him coming in and trying to play a different way.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I think maybe he was hurt. Maybe, like you said, he was hurt. He was out for the end of last season, probably into the summer. So he's just trying to play himself back into basketball shape.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's gotten there now. And, it shows why Masai brought him in.
And again, Rondae came in this game, 20 minutes of play. My guy finishes with 15 and 8 and 4 offensive rebounds. Yeah. And that to me is the key because, as you mentioned, everything is so basic and simple. It's hustle.
Yep.
He's getting on the offensive glass, and even offensively, 6 of 10 from the floor. But his buckets are all in the paint, and it's all just either offensive tap in or someone driving and just dumping it off to him, and he's making layups.
Yep.
But the thing that I like as well is that he goes up strong to finish because he's undersized as well. Yep. And if he has to go into someone's body to like get a little contact to go through them, he'll do that. But either way, I think the big thing with Rondae is it's all just hustle. And that is a great example to set for so many dudes on this Raptors team. And I know I keep going back to this point on every single podcast, but it's the Nick Nurse thing from when he was trying to say these guys weren't defending. I know that's the part that got all the headlines, but the part that he finished that whole point off with was our offense is simple. So guys sometimes get worried about shots on the offensive end when really our offense, if you just move the ball and trust the offense, you're going to get easy buckets. And Rondae is proving that right now, where he came off and he was just cooking. And you can't really, the other part of what he brought to this, and correct me if I'm wrong here, so tell me if you think I'm off, but I think he also brings a little more like dirtiness, like griminess to the Raptors lineup that especially without Serge Ibaka, they didn't really have a dude that's in there like mixing it up, you know, like throwing bows underneath, grabbing those tough offensive rebounds, diving for the ball. Collectively as a team, I think they do that. But in terms of an energy guy coming in and just mucking it up, I feel like the Raps were missing that, especially without Serge.
Definitely.
You think he filled that void?
I think he has, and it you know, I've seen a lot of posts, seen a lot of comments here, seen some memes talking about bench mob 2.0.
No.
Are we there?
No, we got to slow that down. No, we're not there yet.
What are you gonna think though?
No, we're not
right?
there
You
yet.
have Norm,
Nope.
who's on your bench.
Norm's starting
On a full team. Norm's on your bench.
Yeah, but at this moment he's starting.
But on a full team, Norm's on your bench. Right?
Who knows when the full team's coming back?
Terence Davis, Norm, Rondae, Serge.
No, I'm not. No. You got to earn that label. It can't just be given. Meaning, I have to see these guys because here's the thing, right? We're still always going back to what's the magic word of the Wrap It Up podcast? Consistency. Okay. And so until I see those guys, and who knows when that's going to happen. I don't know when Kyle's coming back,
No idea.
but when those guys come back and now you shift them back to the bench, if they can consistently provide that, hey, I'm all for calling them bench mob 2.0. But the Raps bench was doing work for 2 straight years, right? They had like 2 hot summers to quote Jay. Do you know what I mean? They had 2 hot summers where they came back and they were putting in work for the Raps, where they were beating other teams. So it's gonna take me a while to just levy that nickname upon what
nickname.
we're currently seeing. But with that said,
Gotta
still enjoying the ride
I think you still got to be encouraged, right?
for sure, for sure.
Right, because what the theme of the first couple games of the season was, how long can we really ride a 7-man lineup?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, now I think we have
Yeah.
the potential of having that 8th, 9th, 10th, even 11th guy.
Yeah. And it's funny how it went from how long can we ride this the 7-man rotation to then being forced to up Siakam and Fred's minutes. They got no rest. And it's like the hidden gem of all this was you figured out, okay, cool, you can roll out Terence Davis, you can roll out Rondé, and you can play those guys. And now almost you're setting up two things. Either when Kyle comes back and when Serge comes back, hey, you're rolling. You got a full lineup. You can throw out a bunch of things, throw out different lineups. You can play guys, shorter minutes. You can rest guys
Yeah.
because Marc Gasol can afford to take a night off. Serge, Kyle, etc. You know that you can do that. But also, are we kind of getting a glimpse of what could be if, let's say, Masai decides to pull the trigger on a few moves? Or am I taking a step too far here and need to like pump the brakes and slow down? Because all I'm saying is,
I think we have to be realistic. That day is coming. Whether it's
the decision is coming.
whether it comes via this trade deadline or over the summer or next year's trade deadline, there are moves to be made.
Yeah.
And I think if things continue, like you said, with the consistency, it'll make those moves a little easier for everybody to swallow, right?
Like everyone's not going to be in panic mode if you traded Kyle Lowry because at least you're like, oh, okay, well, Terence Davis has shown some productivity, and at least you can bank on, well, if Terence becomes Fred and blah blah, blah and you can see that, but you've seen that Fred is real. You've seen that Terence Davis at least he's something, and so you feel a lot more at ease. And again, I'm not rushing to trade Kyle Lowry, so let's slow down on that talk. I'm just trying to jump ahead and say, if you were talking about before the season trading Kyle Lowry, I feel like people were a lot more like scared or terrified. Whereas now, you still see the team's okay. You trust the organizational depth, which you weren't really sure if it was there. I wasn't sure if it was there, but we're seeing, hey, these guys are NBA players, and your system, above all, means that next man up, let's go. And that's a beautiful thing.
Willing to work, with something to prove, are probably the perfect players for that system.
You know what's interesting? That post-game interview with Terence Davis, where Pascal came up behind him, and Danielle, shouts to Micho, by the way, and the whole digital team. Cool peoples over there. I rep them. But I was going to say, when Pascal comes over and bigs up Terence Davis was quick to say, oh, Pascal, he's the man. He's the man. And what it made me think of was Terence Davis looking at Pascal and thinking, I could be him. In terms of, I was unheralded. He was undrafted. Pascal was a late first round pick. But at the same time, surprise late first round pick for sure. But at the same time, Terence Davis looks at that and he says, okay, well, here's a guy that just worked hard. He got in the lab year in, year out, and now he's the man. And I couldn't help but think, watching Terence Davis in that moment, looking up at Pascal, that he has to be thinking that could be me if I work. That's cool. That's awesome.
And then you have Fred there too, so he can be,
for sure.
He's one of the two, right? They have multiple guys who they can look up and say, yeah, we caught some bad breaks over, but whether you just weren't drafted or didn't get heralded or the media didn't get a glimpse of us properly, but come in, work hard, thrive in this system, and look where I can get.
For sure. For sure. I think it's a really good look for the Raps, just in terms of what they've been able to do with the organizational depth. And we got a lot of people filtering in here. I guess bringing up the Kyle Lowry
Yeah,
stuff
you
got
started.
people a
You
little,
started a trade. You
which
started a
wasn't
wave.
my intention. I was here just trying to big up what the Raps did and just seeing what the depth is. But let's get to some comments here, because someone says, Tata, yo, shouts to O-Dog, Tata bless.
Oh, dog.
Says consistency is definitely key. Clear, positive communications. Bless. I said, am I going too far? Talking about the trade talks. My boy Abir AB checks in and says, keep going, fam. I asked if I need to pump the brakes or keep going. He says, keep going. Coach Flores says, you're right. Tammy disagrees. She checks in and says, all in caps, too far. But, obviously the point
See,
comes down to this, as I am why Doves Cry says, if the trade is right, which obviously at this point we trust in Masai, that we know he's not pulling the trigger on anything unless it's the right move for the team.
But see, K2's Garnett says, chill with the trade Lowry talk. We want to win this year. And I think there's still that element of the Raptors hopeful that still see this team as a contender
for a championship.
Or at least to go, like, even if they don't win, but I think if you look around at the Eastern Conference,
if we get to conference finals, you're saying?
Even the conference finals, but I think and of course we just seen a blowout from, the bench.
Yeah.
Basically. So I think people are still thinking, like, if the Raptors can consistently put in this type of work, this effort, is Milwaukee and Philly that much better? With the full team.
I know what you're saying. With
right?
the full Raptors squad.
Obviously on paper you're looking and you see Embiid and Simmons and etc. Giannis, etc. And although Pascal is on the verge of getting there, he may not be at that Giannis level yet. But people are thinking that, especially with this system and the defense they play, that it may still be possible to squeak out some wins in the playoffs. So I still think there's still a lot of hope.
People don't want to make the move.
And
in a weird way, whereas some people might have thought the injuries might have hurt those thoughts, it's actually boosted those thoughts because they've played better not better, but they've still maintained a high level of play without Kyle and Serge, who are key parts of your squad. It's very interesting what's going on with this Raptors team, and apologies for going this long without mentioning this man and giving him enough due for what he did in this game. And I can't even say in this game because it was 3 quarters. And really the only thing that stopped this person was the elbow of Nicola Batum. But OG Anunoby, who scored 16 of his career high 24 points in the third quarter, he shot 6 of 7 in that third quarter, including 4 of 5 from 3. And again, my guy finished career high 24 points in 3 quarters, didn't even play the fourth. OG Anunoby was a key focal point coming into this season because people were wondering, is he the one that's going to take the Pascal leap? He's played really well when he's been out there. Obviously, he just was injured. He's come back, didn't play too well last game. Tonight was a different story. When you're seeing OG like this, is it kind of scary? Just seeing like what is this kid capable of if he is now splashing threes? He finished 4 of 7 from 3 in this game.
I think he's a better individual defensive player than Pascal. So if he can get his offense up to that level, we might be seeing, dare I say, a better version. Because Pascal, right? Because he plays. We just witnessed Kawhi, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why Kawhi is being called, or it may be the best player in the league, is because of not only offense he gives, defense, but he has that same level on defense.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
So now OG, and I'm saying, like, yes, Siakam's long and he's more of a hustle defender.
Yeah.
Whereas OG is strong and quick and agile and can defend, better on-ball defender. If he gets his offense rolling and starts hitting those shots consistently, he might be better than Pascal. No?
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. You're saying eventually, not
eventually.
I know what you're
I'm not saying not right now.
Yeah.
But
I know
I'm just saying he brings, if he can get his offense up to that level, he also brings on-ball, like,
on-ball defense, where Pascal is a solid on-ball defender, but his help defense is solid, getting to the glass and being a help defender. And the thing too about OG, you're right. His on-ball defense is disgusting.
Yeah.
His decision making is super interesting in terms of how much that's improved, because I feel like before it was either okay, I'm wide open or I'm kind of open, so I'm just going to shoot this three. Whereas now you see him at least thinking about it. And this game as well, I think, was a perfect example of what I've always said about OG heading into this season is start inside. Get easy buckets going to the basket first, on cutting, on getting on the offensive glass. Do that first. Then when you step out, that three just feels a lot more smooth. You've already, there's something about basketball when you see the ball go in first, right? And then you're shooting the threes and it's good. I don't like when, and same thing goes for Marc Gasol, when your first few shots are all just these threes because you're wide open. And those are good shots because you're open, but sometimes getting the layup, getting that touch around the glass helps you extend the game. And OG Anunoby, man, he's surprising me. I can admit when I'm stunned, I did not expect him to be shooting the three like that. Like his numbers shooting the three, 52.5% from three. That's what OG Anunoby is shooting from three this year. 52.5% from three. That's insane. That's stupid. Nobody's expecting him to stay at that clip, but if he's shooting 40% from three, we're ecstatic. And you're talking about and you're talking about 12 games in. Well, he hasn't played 13 games. He's played what, 10?
Yeah, about that.
That's a solid sample size to show improvement, like vast improvement on your 3-point shot.
And I think we've been talking, not to bring up Kawhi too much, but we've been talking about the influence left. I think OG embodies that more than anybody because the man was shooting and getting up and dunking, and I don't think the man sparked a smile once. Like he just, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like he just like it's all business.
Yeah.
Right. And again,
who's the king of that? Kawhi. It shows you can be a superstar in this league, and it doesn't have to be all up on the gram like LeBron or whatever. And I'm not even knocking that. I'm just saying difference in styles. Right? Like you don't have to be the all up in I was gonna do the Suge Knight all up in the video, right? But you could be a different kind of superstar. And seeing Kawhi do that and go about his business. Heck, that was even something Mike Babcock talked about. Watching a superstar come in and do his business every single day and just perform at a high level and just be quiet about it.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see like what the Raptors development program has been like, and talk about, you know, having a quote unquote red shirt year if you're OG Anunoby. What a great year to sit out and watch. And I'm doing air quotes for people listening on the podcast because I know it's not good that he was hurt last season, but you really get a different viewpoint of the game and see how you can contribute. And what we talk about all the time, figure out different ways to affect the game that's not just scoring. And OG is definitely doing that. And if he continues to shoot the three, it's incredible. And I think a big part, and sorry, because I just remembered this point because we were talking about it during the game. I was listening to, I think it was Kevin O'Connor on The Ringer, and they were talking about the change in the Phoenix Suns this season. And he said one of the things with just the new offenses in the NBA and what the Suns have done with Monty Williams is his new thing is you have like 0.5 seconds to make a decision when you get the ball. Meaning you're not holding the ball and just standing there and like up faking or whatever. It's you're either dribbling, you're passing or shooting, but you're making those decisions quickly. And I feel like that's a good, like, I'm not saying the Raps are having that exact same thing, but with the ball movement and quick passing, and I always think of Marc Gasol for this, but it forces everybody to make quick decisions, and the defense is always moving. And it's tough to play that level of defense against an offense like the Raps all game long.
And it's not only 0.5 once you get the ball in your hand, but it forces you to make plans before the ball gets to you, right? So you already know where your guys are on the floor, what options you have before that pass gets to you, which makes you one step more ahead of the defense.
Yeah. Totally. And let's get to some more comments here because people are filtering in, and really appreciate the feedback again. You can always hit us up live on Twitter with this feed at Shell Alexander and on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. And we were talking earlier about the trades, about am I looking too far ahead to the trades? And Logan checks in on Twitter and says, slow down, but you're not wrong. I appreciate that, Logan. Thanks for tuning. Logan is a regular as well. Huge shouts to Logan. The complaints department says defense is still elite, and it's one of the themes we talked about from our first game of the year. Raps are going to be a solid team and in a lot of games and just blow out some teams because they play defense.
Yeah.
And that's what was the main difference between this game being close in the first quarter, the second quarter, to when the Raps really bared down in the second half and started going on. They went on a 15-6 run from the end of the first half to start of the second half. Then that turned into just a flat out 10-0 run, and it just kept going and going and going.
And then you like with a running gun team, getting those offensive rebounds and those steals, everybody just starts running, and you're going to get dunked. You're going to get open layups. You're gonna it does make the game more fun.
Yeah,
It looks easy and fun.
DJ Raymond checks in and says, unless we get in Kawhi back, don't trade Lowry. That's a very good point. Len
it
says,
might happen. Don't look like LA is liking the load management too much.
Stop this. Paul George has looked legit since he's come back.
It's scary when
that team is a problem. That team will be a problem. Len says, I think there's a legit path to the Eastern Conference Final. People are backing that up, just saying simply facts. I don't know, man. It's a long ways to go. I'm enjoying this season, and I'm enjoying being surprised, being pleasantly surprised by this team and what the organization has been able to do. Not one, but two. Well, I guess keep going. 3 years in a row. Yeah. How long has it been now? If you're talking Fred, Norm, Pascal, right? Like OG. Now you're talking Terence Davis. Now you're talking even Matt Thomas coming off the bench. Yeah. Boucher, that's a guy you're taking off scrap heap, right? And putting into your program, being G League MVP, and now my guy is all over the place. It's insane to see what the Raptors have done. Let's get to some more comments here before we wrap up. And Pastor Wesley checks in and says, OG's mid-range shot off the dribble is going to be lethal. Just wait. He hit one of those in this game early, and I went, whoa. Okay. Like, he up-faked at the three-point line, took a step in, and banged in the long two, and I thought, okay. I don't remember that piece being in OG's arsenal last year, but appreciate to see that. It's crazy, man. OG, I don't know what the limit is on what OG can possibly be, but it is scary good.
Between him, Fred, and Pascal, Rico Hines is going to be a rich man.
Rico Hines. So did you see the Kings game? Rico Hines is an assistant coach with the Kings. Yeah. So, I mean, trust the process of Rico, I guess, right? It's incredible. Someone else brings up that Norm had a really good game today. That's two good games where you're seeing Norman Powell get back to what the Raps really need, especially with Kyle Lowry not being in the lineup, because they need someone else to just give a consistent 15. Yep. And Norm's now done that in the past two games. And I'm going to put Norm in this category that I've kind of had with Pascal and Fred in terms of I don't care what shots you take because they just need you to get to X amount of points to have a chance to win. So I just like from the second game in a row, we're seeing Norm be more aggressive in terms of just taking his shot, which then leads him getting out into transition. We saw the classic Norm dunk and scream. An active Norm Powell, how important is he to what the Raptors need?
Again, it comes down to consistency, right? I think he realizes with those other guys out that he has a role to play and he fills it.
Yeah.
I just think you can't just promise him anything, right?
Yes.
Right?
That's been your thing from the start of the year. Yeah.
So I think if it wasn't for the fact that he's being pushed for those minutes, again, when the team's at full tilt and you need to bring somebody off the bench, are you bringing Rondé or are you bringing Norm? Right? So he still has something to prove. Right?
Yeah.
He's got people nipping at his heels, so he's got something to prove. So it's not like, okay, Serge is out, Kyle's out, Norm, you're our guy now. Right?
Yeah.
It's still Norm, you're gonna start, but these other guys are
waiting to take
and ready to take your minutes. Yeah. Right? So as long as you have something, as long as he has something to prove, Norm is gonna live up to it.
Here's a funny comment. DJ Raymond says Gasol looked like Jason Kidd out there tonight, which is, I mean, again, 40 assists, as Alex points out. Ball movement was crazy. And when you're doing that, it is cray. Someone here says, y'all saying trade Lowry like playoffs don't exist. I'm not saying trade Lowry, for the record. I'm not saying trade Lowry. The point that I was trying to make was the perception of making a Kyle Lowry trade has to be a whole lot different now that you know that you have more organizational depth behind Fred VanVleet.
Yes.
That's all my point was. I wasn't saying, like, let's be serious. The storyline coming into this season was, what do you do with Kyle, Serge, and Marc Gasol? Like, I didn't make that up. That's legit the storyline coming into the season. And I'm not saying to trade Lowry. I'm just saying the perception of what a Lowry trade would mean is a lot different now than what it was before he went out and you saw that Terence Davis was real. As my guy finished with 16 and 7 in this game. 4 of 5 from 3-point land. This guy doesn't look like an undrafted rookie.
No, definitely not.
Right? Oh, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to this Wrap It Up podcast. Again, Toronto Raptors win 132-96 as the Raptors improve to 9-4 on the season and 5-0 at home. Again, the Raptors set a franchise record with 40 assists. And again, those 40 assists coming on 50 field goals. Just disgusting. 7 Raptors in double figures. Great performances there as they run the Charlotte Hornets out of the gym. Great showing there by the Toronto Raptors, and really appreciate everybody tuning in. Q, where can the people hit you up? Where can they find you if they want to get your Raps takes or anything else going on in the land of Q?
Other than right here on the wrap up show, catch me at simply_just_Q or at DDS Caps on all social media platforms. Hit us up. I don't think this trade Lowry or don't trade Lowry convo is going to end anytime soon tonight because y'all are going tough.
Hold on. And again, I was not saying to trade Lowry. I'm emphasizing this because I know people are going to be in the mentions. I'm not saying trade Lowry. I'm saying the perception of trading Lowry. Your viewpoints on it has to change, have to be different now than they were then. I'm going to stop you because someone writes in with a great question that I do want to get your take on and says, what do you guys think about not giving JV a ring? So the story came out that Jonas Valanciunas, DeLon Wright, and CJ Miles are not going to get championship rings after it was first reported that they would be getting championship rings. But Bobby Webster, I think this was in the Toronto Sun today or yesterday, Bobby Webster said that they did their research on it and they were looking at other examples of what other teams did in similar scenarios. And the only recent one was when Anderson Varejao got a ring, and that was more so he got left off the roster at like the last minute because of an injury replacement. And so he did end up getting a ring. That's like the most recent example of someone being traded and not being on like the final team roster and then getting a ring. So they decided against giving JV a ring. It seems to cause a cluster storm in Raptorland. Yeah. What do you think? Because I got my takes on it.
He wasn't on the team. He wasn't on the playoff roster. He wasn't on. Like, he was traded before the trade deadline. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he was injured like OG and couldn't play and was left off the active roster or like you were just saying with Varejao. He was traded. Yeah. 4 guys that got us to that ring.
Exactly.
Right?
My biggest
and then sorry, and one last thing is you know, it's almost like where do you draw the line? Mm-hmm. Right? So yes, he was a lot like does DeMar get a ring? You know what I mean?
Right? Casey,
do they I mean right there right without DeMar DeRozan being who DeMar DeRozan was, we don't get that championship because San Antonio doesn't make that trade for Kawhi. Mm-hmm. Does he played a big part in that? Does he get a ring? You know what I mean? Are you saying JV gets a ring, so then CJ Miles gets a ring? Like where does it end?
No, right? You're totally right. My biggest takeaway on this whole thing is I thought once the Raptors won a championship, that all the like petty foolishness that Raptors fans would get all riled up about would go away. And this was another example of, wait a second, why do we care that JV's not getting a ring? Like, I get that he put in years on the team, and I understand that. But he got traded.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't on the team. And I felt bad for my guy Josh Lewenberg because he put up, and he used Jordan Lloyd as an example, just saying, like, Jordan Lloyd wasn't on the actual, like, final roster or whatever. But again, he was, like, on the team and, like, traveling with the team and on the bench and in the greatest photo in Raptors history. Like,
and there you go. DJ Raymond just says, does Moose get a ring too? He almost he tried to stop y'all from getting the ring. Are we gonna give him a ring now? So it just.
The other thing too is that, like, you look at this whole thing and people were saying, well, Superfan got a ring and Drake got a ring. It's like, yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, they were cheering for the team. Like, that's totally fine. JB wasn't on the squad.
Nav Bhatia hasn't missed a game since opening night, 1995.
Yeah.
He should get a ring.
No, I'm okay with all that. What I'm not arguing, like, you weren't even at the games. If you're JV and them, you weren't even at the games. Yeah. You weren't there. You weren't at the championship parade. You weren't anywhere.
You know what? I'm gonna end it like this. Mm-hmm. At least we're having that argument. It's good to have that argument.
I was just going to close out.
Because everybody now can go pay your $20, your $19.95, and we can all get our own JV can get a ring. You just got to go to championshiprings.com, and he can get the replica, he can get the gold with the diamonds, he can get whatever ring he wants.
Yes,
we paid him enough money over the years.
Maybe all the Raps fans that are upset about this can start a GoFundMe for JV rings. How about that? But as Emma echoes your point and says, Rap fans are lucky that the ring thing is even a topic of conversation. There
you go.
Although, dog, everybody must get a blood fire ring.
Oliver Miller must get a ring.
So too good. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate that. Great question at the end there. As always, that's what we try to do here. My goal has always been to extend my group chat, the group text, to the masses, and this is what we've done on this Wrap It Up podcast. Greatly appreciate it when we can talk to you after every Raptors game right here on Twitter, live at Shell Alexander, and on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Like and subscribe, follow up, and then tune into the podcast. iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and on YouTube. Again, rate us, like us, tell your friends, all that fun stuff, because that's how we keep this machine moving that is the On Blast Podcast Network. That's the main brand. The main brand is On Blast. Wrap It Up is just a segment of that. So thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Raptors win, Raptors win, Raptors win big. 132-96. Man, Raptors fans are feeling themselves right now, and I don't really blame you.
Sure.
But until next time, I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. This is the Wrap It Up On Blast Raps post-game show. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.
Peace.
On blast.